When I asked Nina yesterday what she remembers about Millard's accomplishments at Toledo, she mentioned assisting with acquisitions and learning the ropes of management. But, she said, what she remembers most is the Dosons loved it. And she went on, the Dosons have always loved it. Forever even. I think Nina was happy about this, but Nina, you'll have to tell her. Then, lo and behold, we get a message in 1967 that Millard had been chosen as founding director of the Elvium Art Museum on the campus of the University of Wisconsin in Madison, where in 1969, son Seth's arrival made them a family. At Wisconsin, Millard had the opportunity to organize a brand new museum. And one of Nina's memories is that in building a collection, he had to scrounge artworks from professors' offices all over the campus. And the professors often did not want to give up their treasures. But the artworks were, after all, the property of the university and became the opening collection of that art museum. And in 1974, we got a phone call from Millard saying in his understated way, we have news. The news, of course, was that he was selected as director of the Cincinnati Art Museum. What a plum. And many here today began their acquaintance with Millard, Nina, and Seth at that time. He was most proud in his years as director of the acquisitions that were made, to the art collection, the renovations that were made to the building, really quite substantial, and the blockbuster shows that were hosted, particularly the one called Treasures from the Tower of London. Some of you remember that. He came down to it. And one called Masterworks from Munich. We were here for that one too. Millard's retirement years after 1994 are, but for others, might be the most productive years of their lives. He wrote several books, and you've seen the titles in the program, and some of you have read and owned the books. And as you know, I have to hold this up. He was the chief instigator and architect and writer of the National Historic Landmark nomination for the village of Marymount, Ohio. This was a labor of love and a monumental labor of work to do it. And I remember when he was going through that. But the whole community has benefited from it. Now, as is customary at many services of this kind, I invite anyone here who has memories or thoughts they would like to share to please feel free to do that. Many of you remember Millard, and the time is yours if you'd like to say anything. You can come up here, this is a great microphone, or you can shout from the seat.
I would just like to add that I moved to this area about 5 years ago from Kentucky. Before that, from Michigan, having lived as a little girl in Kalamazoo. And my husband, I met in Saugatuck, Michigan. And he spoke many times about his roommate at Asher House, Pete Rogers. Dick Hoffman. Did you ever know Dick Hoffman? You remember him? Well, anyway, when I moved to Cincinnati and joined First Church, I still didn't know that Millard Rogers was Pete Rogers. And one day I asked him for a picture that I want to use in Sunday school. It was a photograph of a famous painting. And during that time, he mentioned that he had been at Michigan State University. And I thought for a minute, and I asked him what year, and then I said, "Your nickname isn't Pete by any chance, is it?" And it's a small world, 6 degrees of separation, right? I would just like to pay tribute to Miller as a wonderful example of Christian Science. He was a tremendous leader in our church and be greatly missed.
Thank you.
I would like to say, as a fellow Wolverine, hail to the victor. Miller asked me to do the taxes for the Marymount Preservation Foundation, the 9/9 returns, and I've been doing them. And Miller was my person that when I want to find out a question would be answered, Miller had the answer. And we owe everybody at Marymount owes a great deal to Miller and them for the fact that they have been such leaders in this community. Hail to the victors.
Thank you.
I likewise am a Wolverine. Although Miller preceded me by 10 or 11 years in the University of Michigan museum training program. One of the great thrills of my career really was to work with somebody who was so sympathetic, enthusiastic about acquiring for the collection, for exhibitions, and in fact, I still have the memorandum that he wrote me in August of 1975 suggesting that I do a circus poster exhibition. And it took me a long time, but his support over the years certainly helped me complete that project. He was definitely a scholar, and he was definitely a gentleman, and had a great appreciation for every single object that he did.
Thank you.
I am not a Wolverine. I arrived at Cincinnati Art Museum 1 week after Miller did. And I just want to stand here and say tribute to him as a gentleman, as a scholar, as a lover of his community, and also something I know because I've been in the museum that you may not know. He was a great lover and supporter of the Mary R. Schiff Library. And that is rooted in his love of scholarship. And together we both shared that and enjoyed that for many years.
Thank you.
I first met Millard when he was the director of the Art Museum, and we were planning Cincinnati's bicentennial in '88. And I asked him to do something special for the city that would commemorate our anniversary. And that's where the idea for the Masters of Munich came from. We're currently trying to get Munich to be our sister city, so we helped build those relationships during those times. And then later in life, almost 30 years later, I wound up here at Marymount and was inspired by the book he wrote, John Mullins' biography and his great work around the country. The master plan he put together for this village was his favorite. And